Greetings and felicitations, YouTube. Jarl of the Appian Way here. We've got Odysseus and his Ithaca host out in front. And you can tell they're looking to get dirty today. Today I got two replays for you. Both were battles that I had with members of that Discord community I mentioned the other day for Troy multiplayer. Yeah, so let's talk about Odysseus' army first. And this is my opponent, Iron Kestrel. This is the force he brought, and I also have to tell you what I can and can't see. So we do have Odysseus out here, out front on the... Which chariot is this? Is this just the regular skirmish chariot? I don't think it tells me exactly which chariot it is, but hey, there he is. And I can see 4 units of heavy shielded spearmen, 3 XP chevrons each. This is on ultra funds. So 17,000 rather than the typical 12,400 that I'm usually doing my battle replays on. And yeah, that's what I can see. What I can't see, but what I suspect, is a bunch of like ambushers, guerrilla stalkers, exemplary ambushers. Yeah, and he's got about 2 of each, which I think is the cap. Probably the cap of how many you can bring of each of those units, and he has them in a horseshoe formation right at the very edge of the deployment zone and in the mud. And there's a reason why he's in the mud, and I'll cover that in a second. And he has infantry on the flanks of his spearmen, which is also smart. 2 warriors of Ithaca, which are fantastic units, lots of hit points, very tanky, medium weight class, and a bunch of damage. 160 damage is absurd, and they're really good for it too. And then behind those, Odysseus' Midnight Runners with plenty of XP on them as well. All said and told, he has, how many men is it? It is, 979 troops. It's 17,000 funds though. I think you want to go a little bit wider. I don't think this is a full 20 host. It's 1, 2, 6, 8... and then another 6, 14. He has 15 units. It's better for micro, but when you're running so high in points, you really want to go wide. Now, I brought Lycia, and as soon as he saw that I was bringing Lycia, his mind immediately goes to, okay, chariots are going to be a threat, so I need to play with the terrain, which is exactly what he should do. There's a giant mud bowl here in his deployment area, tiny copses of trees, and he deploys his army together. Again, smart, because of how I approached the first, minute or so of the battle. Let's talk about my army before I get too carried away. Over here, one of my reasons for picking Lycia, giants. I got giant champions in the back here, giant armored spearmen, 2 units of that. This is a very beefy force at, let's see here, 193, melee attack with anti-large and 105 missile damage with armor piercing, and the champions are like 384 melee damage. Yeah, this is good stuff. So I have them on my right flank. On my left flank, I have my defender companion in a chariot, escorted by 2 winged Lycian chariots. When I saw the map, I didn't want to go too heavy on chariots, but there's still not a good reason not to take winged Lycian chariots, considering they only cost 630, 640. They're Value City. I'm telling you, they are straight out of Value City. My main line is my favorite part of Lycia. I know I've mentioned I have several favorite parts, but look at these swords. Look at these Khopesh swords. These are renowned Khopesh fighters. And these guys have javelins. They have 107 missile damage. They only cost about 1,000 points. But what makes them really, really cool, 11,250 hit points. A 55% missile block chance shield, 45 armor is meh, but this is a medium infantry that goes toe-to-toe with heavy infantries. And look at this, bonus versus spearmen, armor piercing, 107 melee damage, armor piercing, javelins, and protecting each flank of them is a Companions of Sarpedon, 100 armor, 55% missile block chance, so they've got those axes for the 106 points of damage. Their damage is actually... yeah, it's less than the renowned Khopesh fighters, and these guys are much more expensive, much more heavy. They also cause terror, which, that's lovely. And yeah, that is the army. So I see a small force in the mud, and I'm going, okay, where are the ambushers? So that's why I deployed wide. I'm looking around. I'm skirting around and past all of the trees. I'm looking for guys that are going to take, you know, like, if he has them on fire at will, taking pot shots at me from the trees. I'm moving my forces through the trees. I'm getting the giants over here. I'm going to send the giants into this copse of trees as well. I'm looking around, and I'm talking to the guy at the same time over voice comms going, where's your army? I'm going to find them. Where's your army? And he's like, oh, I'll tell you, eventually. And thankfully, after I had checked out the whole rest of the map, I had pretty much had it figured out that his ambushers and everything were going to be right here. I just don't know what flavor of ambusher it was going to be. So get my giants into the trees over here for a little bit of cover from Odysseus, and hopefully to hide them. But Odysseus sees right through it, and he's going to come over here, and he's just going to pop off some bow shots at them. Ow, he says. Saw that guy do a little dance. So I'm going to pull them back a little bit further. And we haven't even gotten to the fight yet, and already half of the time is gone. This is where I want to make a small warning about deploying too close to the edge of the map. If you deploy too close to the edge of the map, you can get routed right off the battlefield and not get a chance to recover. Not saying that is for sure what is going to happen. I'm just saying that this is something you want to be aware of. This is what we call on Air of Carthage's channel in Discord, defensive geometry. Because, let's face it, it is a tactic, it is a strategy. A lot of people think it's a little cheesy, they call it noob boxing. This is... I don't like the term noob boxing, because it is a strategy. You want to protect your flanks. The only time it's a little cheesy is when, like, you corner camp. Like, if you get a corner where there's no way the enemy can go around your flanks because units can't pass the white line. Yeah, sure, whatever. But this is not a corner camp. This is using mud and protecting his units. He has his javelins out front, and here we go. This is nuts, okay? Watch what happens to Odysseus out here. He's in front. My renowned Khopesh fighters are coming forward. Watch Odysseus's health.
Your warriors have spotted hidden foes.
Boom, 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 and boom. What? That was just the javelins from renowned Khopesh fighters, and Odysseus is broken. He's like, I want none of this. The javelins from those Khopesh fighters also got plenty of damage into the ambushers here. We didn't even notice that, because at this stage we're going, what happened to Odysseus? I didn't even see it coming. I wasn't even trying to. I was just moving my forces up. So he's going to start moving some men out. I got my companions of Sarpedon that finally showed up. They got a 30% speed debuff in the mud. And the renowned Khopesh fighters are already faster and only facing a 20% speed debuff. But poor Odysseus. And it was the javelins that got him. It had nothing to do with the mud. That was not why he got hurt there. The mud only takes away a large unit's melee defense and speed. And now I've got the giants into the show. They were discouraged by Midnight Runner's ability, but whatever. As for my chariot forces, I'm going to bring my hero Defender Companion around so I can drop some healing buffs into this area, because we are facing some Warriors of Ithaca. That's going to hurt. The Heavy Shielded Spearmen could do a decent enough job. And as for my Winged Lycian Chariots, the only way I'm going to get them to do anything useful in this battle is if I put them down here on this flank, close enough to where he can shoot in and get some of these guys. Now, thankfully, his forces recover right at the very edge of the map. So Odysseus is still in this. He's going to try and pop off some shots. He should be shooting at my hero. But there's also definitely value made in trying to shoot up my giants. So yeah, there goes my healing spell. I just dropped it over here. The Favor of Asclepius. Try and keep my Khopesh fighters in this a little bit longer. They have a ton of hit points. Trying to get them a little bit more. Chasing off some stalkers and exemplary ambushers over here with the renowned Khopesh fighter. Odysseus Midnight Runners tied up with the renowned Khopesh fighter. This is an even fight. And that's not good for Odysseus, because those Midnight Runners are much more expensive than the renowned Khopesh fighters, and then there's all these extra supporting infantry. I outnumber him in infantry, and you can see the numbers are getting worse. He's already taken almost 500 casualties, getting closer. Yeah, that was just past the 450 mark, and I've only taken about 200. His skirmishers are trying, but they've got nowhere left to run. They're eating a 10% speed debuff, so it's not going to hurt them too much. At this point, I'm going, it's done. I'm going to go ahead and get my my hero in here, even though he's on his chariot, because he can tie down Odysseus and prevent Odysseus from shooting. And that's it. That's all she wrote, folks. My 2 light skirmishers showing up in time just to, you know, throw out some punishing volleys, but that was it. That was the battle. The really shocking thing about that one, of course, being the way that those javelins just melted Odysseus' chariot. We had absolutely no expectation of that happening. And I would caution you, if you see infantry attacking, pull your hero behind your line, just because you don't really target those javelins. That's not an ability that you have. You can give them an attack order, but they still only throw those javelins when they're on fire at will. And that was just insane. Talking about the XP pickup and the kills, I don't think I put XP on anybody to start. You could see that the damage was really spread out across my army. The exception being the light skirmishers didn't really add much. The wing lancy and chariots didn't really add much, but they're chump change compared to everything else. And yeah, that was a huge line of renowned Khopesh fighters. They are real champions. I adore these units. His Warriors of Ithaca did all right. One of his Midnight Runners was okay, but that was just a really unfortunate way for that one to go. I have another one for you. That was the Odysseus battle. This is a battle I had against the Killer, aka Death. This time, it looks like this is on 12,400 funds, regular funds. I'm playing as this is Mycenae, and he's playing as Hector of Troy's faction with Hector. So to get things off, let's go ahead and talk about his army. This is an infantry army. He took one look at the map, which is smart, and then he picked his army. He didn't bring skirmishers, he didn't bring chariots, he just went infantry, and that is the correct call. He brought 2, is it just the 2 or is it 4? Yeah, 2 units of Trojan defenders. Look at their weapon damage, 167, 15 armor piercing points. These guys are really, really heavy damage dealing guys. 45% missile block chance and 85 armor. So for a heavy, they could have a better shield. Their melee defense though is also really impressive, as is that morale. He's got a line of heavy Trojan spearmen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. And if you just compare the stats real quick between these two, yeah, they've got a little bit more hit points, but the damage is such a huge drop-off, and the melee defense is a drop-off. The melee attack doesn't really change much. They got more charge bonus, but the charge bonus is already kind of meh. When it boils down to it, the Trojan defenders are a cheaper unit than the heavy Trojan spearmen. After this battle, we were both going, why ever take the spearmen? They have a 75% shield. But you also have trees on a map like this. The Trojan defenders just seem, with that weapon damage, it is insanely more powerful. But what about the bonuses, Jarl? What about those bonuses? Okay, so let's look at those bonuses. Let's look at that damage breakdown. Of their 100 damage over, that's the damage across 10 seconds, right? 10 is armor piercing. You get an additional 10 for bonuses as large, an additional 12 versus swordsman or axeman. So, okay, let's calculate that out. That would mean, let's say you had your heavy Trojan spearmen fighting sword cavalry. Okay, now their damage is 122. And the armor piercing is 10, right? Or you could just have 167 against everything and have 15 armor piercing. You see what I'm going at here? The way that damage translates, it might be more, who knows, it might be more, because this figure, the 100, is based off of the damage across 10 seconds, and those bonuses might be per attack. I don't think they are, but when it boils down to it, the Trojan defenders just seem like far more valuable with that 167 when they're cheaper than the spear line. Okay, the rest of the army is 2 champions of Troy, 2 Hector's Chosen. Why don't you take Hector's Chosen? They're fantastic. They're expensive, 160 weapon damage, and 16 of it is armor piercing, and they've got a 65% shield these days. The Champions of Troy, they still have that beefy 85 shield and 100, and their damage is 115. They also have javelins, 2 of which they throw for 31. And there's a Corbontes here, which I don't cover too much on my channel. They're just, they're a medium infantry that's unbreakable, but, they tend to just get run over whenever I see them in play. What they really have going for them is that they're unbreakable, and that's important to this battle. And of course, Hector on his chariot. This counts as a large unit, not as a chariot unit, so he's going to be okay out here in the trees. Okay. That was a long-winded explanation about some of the things to look out for in this fight. I brought, in my main line, Armored Swordsman. Weapon damage, 160. I brought 1, 2, 3, or was it 4? Yeah, I guess I only brought the 3. And I have, on either flank, 2 units of Club Warriors. And the reason I brought them is because I also didn't bring any skirmishers, and I wanted an infantry option that had javelins. These javelins aren't bad, so I put some XP chevrons on the Club Warriors to make their damage a little bit better. Granted, it's only 2 shots, and that extra damage only comes from the fact that they reload faster. The morale is good, though. Having that extra boost to morale makes a little bit of difference, and the melee defense going up also helps. So, yeah. Club Warriors, these are cheapo. These guys are only so-sos, okay? Just keep that in mind. But their weapon damage is good. With 110, that's pretty solid. I have a flanking force where, and yes, you're looking at this right, Jarl of the Appian Way brought a Minotaur. There just aren't really good mythical units to choose for Mycenae. 2 units of Agamemnon's Guards, 108 weapon damage with spears, and 2 units of Agamemnon's Companions, which are 140 weapon damage with a charge bonus of 42 and armor piercing. So I have all of that wrapped up together with the Minotaur. Like, this is going to be the knockout punch is what I'm trying to build here. I have a main line supported by a Warlord Mentor, going a little bit different. I wanted his abilities, which were, let's see here, the Heraclean Roar for 40% armor piercing damage for 45 seconds for him and people around him. Yeah, please. I'll put that on my Armored Swordsman. And also the Rallying Cry for morale, just in case I need it, and Seize the Moment, which I don't ever use in the fight, for minus 50% melee defense. And that really would have been useful against the defenders, now that I'm thinking about it. As well, on either flank, I brought, just in case he did bring skirmishers, I brought 6 Young Spears. 3 over here, 3 over there. Never underestimate the value of cheap infantry to just tie down and occupy more expensive units. You don't care if they win or not. They're not your winners. They are your you can't shoot at me option. They are your skirmishers when you don't bring skirmishers. They tie down the enemy skirmishers. You get what I'm saying. So this map is silly, right? There's this giant rock right here. Look at the mini-map. This giant rock right here just filling up my entire deployment zone. There's a mud bowl over here where I put my light infantry just so I could keep that flank protected or whatever. And then trees out the wazoo. So he still hasn't seen my Agamemnon's Companions. All I see at the beginning of this is Hector. I bring my guys up to the edge of the trees, and I know that this fight is mostly going to happen right here. And I'm just kind of staring it down. I didn't bring the chariot for my hero, so I have an all-infantry build. He has an all-infantry build. And it's all going to boil down to weapon damage in the end. The whole thing is going to boil down to weapon damage. Alright, let's get this thing rolling. Let's actually speed up here. I go ahead and I enter the tree line. He's starting to figure me out, and I see his Trojan defenders over here. And I'm going to have my Club Warriors start unleashing their volleys. And their missile block chance was pretty okay, right? It was, yeah, it was only a 45. So I see them coming. I'm going to start pulling them back. This is not a fight I can win. I know that because these guys are just the cheapos. So I'm just going to pull back a little bit and shift my line, spread out the Armored Swordsman wider because I do see the huge line of spears here. And I'm going to take this now. I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to hit that one. This one's going to be here. And I'm looking at so many spearmen now, and I'm a little bit worried. Here come the javelins off the Champions of Troy, but they're wasted into the Club Warriors. And look at how quickly these guys got over here. Here come my young spears. They don't care that there's trees in the way. Here come my other group of young spears. And seeing the Hector's Chosen coming, I fainted back with my Club Warriors, and now that my knockout punch is here, I charge in with the Club Warriors, going, alright, let's do this. And then this just becomes a Death Star. He sees all of this coming, he goes, you know what, I'm going to get Hector's Chosen out of there, swap out with the Champions of Troy. Not a bad idea. They took plenty of morale hit here just from that attack. Hector's going to run over some young spears. That's fine by me. Totally fine by me. This Champions of Troy is going to get completely overwhelmed here, and I managed to get my Club Warriors don't know what to do with themselves. They pulled through a little bit. I'm going to try and get some units around this and help out these young spears get into this other Champion of Troy. This young spear, I'm throwing it away on Hector, really, but hey, he's fulfilling a purpose. Look how much I'm getting pushed back over here. I activate the Heraclean Roar for that extra armor-piercing damage, and watch how my Club Warriors manage this Trojan Defender. These guys are alone and getting beat up by a much more expensive infantry unit, but that extra armor-piercing damage is paying dividends right now. These guys only have 25 armor themselves, and their morale is starting to teeter. And you can see on down the line, my armored swordsmen, they're doing okay. They're doing okay, even though they're very outnumbered. These Club Warriors have had enough of that Hector's Chosen Death Star over there. I've kind of pulled through this Champions of Troy. I'm really worried about allowing their expensive guys to last too long. I really wanted my my knockout punch to get into the back of this heavy Trojan spearman line, because I didn't count on my armored swordsmen to last. Thankfully, though, having my hero out here, given the rallying cry, is making a big difference. And look at this, that rallying cry boosts up the morale in these Club Warriors, and look what's happening to the Trojan Defenders' morale. I activate my Aristea because I need to hold this longer. I need to hold this line longer, but not only do I hold this, I actually start to win this. This Trojan Defenders is losing decisively now to these Club Warriors, which just should not happen. And the heavy Trojan Spearmen, even they're starting to lose out in this fight. And then my young spears have just been keeping a lot of his extra units really, really busy. And then over here, I'm sitting here, once he throws the Corybantes into this, I'm like, I'm not going to finish this fight. This is going to take me the entire battle. I try activating the terrible roar, or whatever it's called, the savage roar, trying to just break this blob up, trying to rout something. But now the Corybantes are here, I know that I can't just rout it off the battlefield. I have to fight it out, and this is ugly, ugly blob. And he still has his Aristea, but look at this. His line broke. I couldn't believe it. I'm just standing here kind of aghast. My armored swordsmen now have an opportunity to get into the Hector's Chosen. And that's what I'm sending them to do. My champion's out here fighting somebody. Oh, one of the Hector's Chosen. Here he goes. Yeah, he's running away now. He didn't want that. Good job, Warlord Mentor. Club Warriors catch up with another heavy Trojan unit. Like, I was really surprised at the value I got out of the Club Warriors. Really surprised. More units routing on down the line.
You have lost a unit.
Uh-oh. I've lost a unit. I lost a unit right here, apparently. It must have been one of my young spears, because my armored swordsmen are now onto these Hector's Chosen. This Hector's Chosen should win this fight.
Hades has claimed the
And then all of a sudden, the Minotaur was finally able to bring down Hector. That was great news for me. And that's all she wrote, right? Like, that's when the balance of power really starts to flip. All I have to do now is rout what isn't shattered. And that's coming soon, because the Hector's Chosen are still in it. The Corybantes are still in it. That Champion of Troy just shattered. The Hector's Chosen are beating armored swordsmen, but I'm bringing in reinforcements. Here comes my Warlord Mentor. I would not normally put a Warlord Mentor into a unit of Hector's Chosen, but at this stage of the fight,
victory is close enough to taste.
like the announcer said, victory was close enough to taste, so I stuck in it. For a while, I seriously thought this battle was lost to me. And that was because I did not realize the weapon damage that was on my armored swordsmen and club warriors was going to be enough to get through the armored Trojan spears and Trojan defenders. And my knockout punch got tied up the entire fight, facing Corybantes and Hector's expensive units. My knockout punch here, my little Death Star, had more points spent into it for sure than what he was able to put to defend against it. I was able to tie up most of his units, but wow, what a fight. What a fight. Look at the numbers. By the numbers, as you can see, 0 kills, 1 kill, 0 kill, 3 kills, 1 kill. You don't bring young spears because you want them to do good. You bring them so you can distract your enemy with them. This one got 17 kills somehow. That was nice of him. Probably chasing them while they were routing. 35 kills on my mentor. He did really, really good job in the line mixed in with the armored swordsman. Against not the Dardanian defenders, the Trojan defenders, I'm really surprised at the damage output from these guys. Really surprised. This is an unshielded light infantry club warrior unit, and they kind of spanked that Trojan defender. I'm going to look at those points comparisons again, because I was talking up the Trojan defenders before the battle. If he had brought them instead of heavy Trojan spearmen, he probably would have done a lot better against my 3 units of armored swordsmen. And then the kills, I didn't really get the kills I wanted out of my knockout punch, but they did work. 3 XP on that Minotaur, probably just from Hector alone. And the champions of Troy just got... They were just, I would say they were bought. They were bought out. And what I mean by bought out is, I spent, what is this? This is like 6,000-7,000 of my spend is right here. And that's only about 3,000 for the champions of Troy. 3,000 plus the Corybantes, like 4,500, something like that. I don't know. So I bought that victory. With the troops that I threw into it. I'm going to look real quick at the comparison between where is he? Mycenae and Hector of Troy. Let's look at, where is that club warrior unit? Here it is, 750. So not as cheap as not as cheap as I thought they were. 750 is good, but no shield, 25 armor, weak, definitely weak versus missiles. That played in my favor because he didn't bring any missiles. And then the comparison, here they are, Trojan defenders. Look at how much Trojan defenders have going in their favor for only being 250 more points. The only thing that there are only 3 categories in which the club warriors were better, and that was speed, melee attack, and charge bonus. But the weapon damage on those defenders, though, plus 56. Really phenomenal weapon damage. Definitely better than the Trojan defenders' weapon damage of 100. And the club warriors, 110 weapon damage. That's really good weapon damage for a cost of 750. There's a similar unit that I want to point out for really good weapon damage for value. Let me see. I'll go find it for you real quick. Okay, so now I'm here looking at Dardania. I just want you to look at the Anatolian swords. 500 cost unit, 125 damage. The heavy Anatolian swords, 820 cost, 160 damage. And that's comparable to the Fearless Swordsman, which cost 1,100, but they also have javelins. So the other unit to talk about that was really cool, and I'm comparing them against the stats of the Club Warriors for Mycenae. Look at the Laconian Swordsman. Cost 750, same cost as those Club Warriors, but these guys get the shield. They have more armor. They're a medium infantry instead of a light. And their damage is 125. 125. What is the shield on a Laconian sword? Actually, what's only 65 on the Axeman? I don't like that. Okay, but the shield on this guy is also a 55% shield. Yeah, so there's next time you're building your army and you're sitting there thinking, where can I get, some solid value out of my forces? Look out for those mid-tier cost guys that have a ton of damage, because they're good. They're really good. Okay, I've been rambling on long enough. Thank you for watching my video. Ta-ta, love you all. See you in the next one.